Tisha Bav, reasons for the destruction of the two Botei Migdash. The Gemara in Masechta Yuma, Daf Tes Amud Beis 9b, the Gemara says, Migdash Rishayin Mipnei Machorav. Why was the first Beis HaMikdash destroyed? Mipnei Shloisha Devarim Shahayu Bai. There were three sins that the people of that time committed. Avodah Zorah, they worshipped idols. V'gilui aroyos, and they lived in immorality. V'shvichos domim, and there was bloodshed. The Gemara continues, and the Gemara says, Abo Mikdash Sheni, but the second Beis HaMikdash, Shoyu Oiskim Batoiro V'mitzvahs U'gemilas Chasodim. Could you imagine? During the time of the second Beis HaMikdash, the people were involved in Torah and in mitzvahs and in gemilas Chasodim. Mibnei Machorav. Why was the second Beis HaMikdash destroyed? And the Gemara answers, Mibnei Shahaya Bai Sinas Chinam. Because unwarranted hatred. There was hatred to people that did not deserve to be hated. Sometimes, if one witnesses a person committing a sin, it might be permissible to hate him. But for no reason, there was hatred around. Why should there be hatred? Maybe they were jealous of people, and people had something that they didn't have. I'm just guessing, I'm just speculating. But for no reason, there was hatred. And because of that, the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, even though there was so much Torah and mitzvahs and gemilas chasodim. L'lamedcha, the Gemara, it says, this teaches us a lesson. Sheshkula sinas chinam keneged sholosh averos, avodah zorah, gilui aroyos, v'shvichos damim. The Gemara teaches that unwarranted hatred is equal to the three sins of avodah zorah, gilui aroyos, and shvichos damim together. Could you imagine? Gilui aroyos, all these three, if these three done together, if you put them on the scale, and on the other side of the scale you put Sinas Chinam would outweigh them. It's worse. Sinas Chinam means there was no love, no love between one and the other. There was no Avas Yisrael. There was no. There was just unwarranted for no reason. There was hatred. Then the Gemara asks the question. Okay, so we see that Sinas Chinam is equal to all three together. Now, which was worse? Which was a worse sin? That's the Gemara's question. If you compare this and that, which was worse? Which was a worse sin? And my question is, what kind of a question is that? If they would ask me such a question, I would in 1 second say that Gilui Aroyos, Avodah Zorah, Gilui Aroyos, and Shvichos Damim is worse. These are cardinal sins. Each one of them is a sin. If they're forced to do it, they have to give up Yehoreg v'Al Yaver. They have to give up their lives for it. If somebody says, you murder somebody, if not, I'm going to murder you, you got to let yourself be murdered. These are three cardinal sins. If somebody says, worship this idol, if not, I'm going to kill you, you have to let Yehoreg v'Al Yaver. You have to let yourself be killed. So of course, these are worse sins than Sinas Chinam, if they would ask me. But Chazal come along and say something else. they would say, Chazal say, Bira Toichiach. The Beis Hamikdash proves which is worse. Which means that the first Beis Hamikdash was rebuilt after a relatively brief exile of 70 years. Whereas the second Beis Hamikdash, we are still awaiting the rebuilding of the second Beis Hamikdash. That means the chet of Sinas Chinam was worse than all three put together, even though all three are cardinal sins. This is something that we have to learn from. Sinas Chinam. We have to see to love each other. We have to see to love each other. No sinas chinam, no unwarranted hatred. And it's something that we have to learn to work on. We have to learn to work. We have to work to and learn and teach ourselves. We must love each person. Because that was a worse sin. That was worse, a worse sin than all the three cardinal sins put together. And how much destruction that brought. It brought the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash. Even though there was Torah and Gemilas Chasadim and there was all good things, but the Sinas Chinam just outweighed everything. So Hashem should help us. We should be Zeicha to love each one and get any hatred out of our system. And that's chus will be Zeicha to build the third Beis Hamikdash. B'mheira b'yameinu. Amen.